All right, so the next part of the project is the dry points. Okay, so you have your dry point plates, and you're gonna make 3 that are black and white, all the same, right? It's called an addition, and it's just something that we do in printmaking. So you have multiple copies of the same thing. And after you print them, you're gonna write 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, and 3 out of 3 on them. Sign them, and I'll show you the proper way to do that. When you do it, you want it to be nice and clean, okay? Really well printed, and they should all be the same. That's what you're going for. Then the second 3, you can do experimental prints. These can be different colors, multiple colors in one plate, combining it with monotype, doing different papers, etc. So for your addition, your 3 sheets of paper need to be exactly the same size and the same type of paper, the same color and the same brand of paper, okay? For your experimental prints, it can be anything you want. We have gray paper, we have cream paper, we have some colored paper, but it's not really the right kind of paper for etching, so I would stick to the proper etching papers. This is called Reeves BFK. It's a really nice, it's from France. It's a beautiful paper, so treat it nicely. The paper we've been printing on before is called Lennox. It's not quite as nice, but it's still a good paper. This paper, Reeves BFK, is perfect for etching because it's so soft. So I'm gonna have you take a look at them. You'll see the top one is not quite as soft as the bottom one, okay? Pass it around and feel it. Okay, so I showed you before how you can tear your paper. Last time we printed, the TAs tore all the paper for you, but this time you're gonna tear the paper yourself, okay? We can take one of these and use it as a guide for tearing the paper. Well, I'm just gonna show you one easy way you can do that. Excuse me for a second. Okay. All right, let's move some of the stuff out of the way so I can tear some down. All right, we can use this as a guide. So we can get 2 sheets per sheet of paper, right? So you take your pencil, make little marks like that, okay, at the corners. And this one, line it up. Okay. So if everyone uses one as a guide, it'll make your life easier since you don't have to measure it every time, right? So you need to make 6. Everyone's gonna need 3 of these. Okay. Sit here. Okay, don't want to see any folding of the paper, it's not good for it. Then we just got to tear off this part, right, over here. Okay, so now you have your nice paper. All right, so it's the same thing we did before, except for with the guide, it makes your life a little easier. So yeah, everyone's gonna make their own paper, and we're gonna use the same registration guide as before, right? Because the same size plate just makes our lives easy, okay? All right, any questions about the paper you're gonna cut down? Now, for your other experimental papers, they don't have to be the same size. They can be bigger, smaller, whatever you want, okay? But for the addition, they should all be the same size. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to showing you Drypoint. So I have the registration guide here. Where'd it go? Did anyone see it? Here it is. addition day. My 3 papers for the addition. And then let's use this one. Just do just a crazy long strip, why not? These 3 for the experimentals. Okay, so I'm gonna put them all in the water. Now, if you just dump them in like that, is that gonna work? It needs to be fully wet, so you need to push it down one by one. Otherwise the water won't get in between. Okay. Now you can write your initials in the corner so no one steals your paper. Or since everyone's using the same paper, you can just not worry about it, it's up to you. But make sure when you do this, your hands are clean, right? Because if you go in with wet, inky hands, it's gonna get ink all over everything, okay? All right, so now we are ready to print. Let's go over there. Okay, so now we're ready to ink up. These are called tarletans, and I can see people are already putting the wrong thing in the wrong place. So rags do not go in here. This is only for tarletans. Tarletans are this like starched cheesecloth that we use to wipe the ink off, okay? Also, tarletans should not go in here, and there's none good, okay? Nothing, trash, nothing should go in here except for tarletans, okay? What else do we need? We need this stuff here. So we need a card to put the ink on. And then these are for cleaning the plate. And you can, the big ones are for your big plates, and the little ones are for the little plates. Okay, so, oh look, there's no lid on this. Guys, you gotta put the lid back on. Is there a floating lid somewhere? Hopefully we find the lid. Okay. All right, so take a little bit of ink out. Now, this stuff is called wiping compound and tack reducer. So this will make your ink less sticky. If you're finding that it's taking you a really long time, can you please put your phone away and pay attention? Thank you. If you're finding it's taking you a really long time to wipe your plate, then you want to add a little bit of this into your ink, okay? So if you're finding that the ink's coming out too fast, and when it prints, it's too light, that means you shouldn't be using this. So I would say try it without this first, but if you're finding it's taking you forever to wipe and the ink's very sticky, add a drop of this to your ink, okay? All right, so apply it to your plate. You want to go in lots of different directions because you want it to get in the lines. Okay. Now you take tarlatan. Find the one that's the right color. You know, there's purple, there's red, there's different colors. So find the one that's the right color. Find a cleanish spot and fold it underneath and fold it so that you get a flat side. So it should be flat on this side and like a ball on the inside. It shouldn't be like this. It should be nice and flat, okay? And I start by doing twists like that to kind of push the ink down into the lines. Now it's dirty, and if you keep wiping on the same spot, it's just gonna take, like, move the ink around, but not actually take it away. So we wanna find a new spot. Okay, here is our pad. So now I'm just going around in circles. I'm not digging down. That can take the ink out of the lines. I'm only staying on the surface, okay? When you get to about that stage where it's like still a little dirty, and if you print this right now, it's not really clean enough for the addition. For your experimental prints, you can make them as dirty and full of ink and crazy as you want, okay? So you take your little newspaper and just lightly, again, you're not removing any of the ink from the lines, just kind of lightly going on top. All right, now we want to get the edges clean. So you can take a rag. Otherwise you get these like really dark lines, and clean the edges. Now to do a really good job on the edges, we're gonna go dry, wet, dry. So first the dry rag, then we're gonna get a tiny bit wet. See, more ink is coming. So you want to do this for your edition, right? So they look nice and clean. Okay, so that was the wet. Now I'm just going to finish with a dry spot again. Pop that one away.
What's the difference between the rag and the other?
Great question. Yes, so why don't you just use a rag?
Yeah.
This is really soft. It's going to get into all the lines and it's going to take it out. And then you're going to have like not enough ink in your lines and they'll show too light. Okay, and that's called over wiped. So you can under wipe it and you can over wipe it. If you over wipe it, you took out too much ink. Oops, it's okay. The lines are too light. If you under wipe it, then there's too much ink still. You didn't take off enough. Okay, so the tarlatan is perfectly like, it's not soft. It's the perfect amount of softness that it won't take off too much ink. That's why we use it. Any other questions? Should we go print? Okay. So you take your paper out, you let it drip. If you don't let it drip, then this just gets wetter faster, and then we have to keep changing the towels. This is kind of annoying. Not a big deal. Okay. Blot it. Make sure it's really smooth. You don't want to put any wrinkles in, because if you blot them, then you get a wrinkle in your paper. Then you want to flip it. Okay. You want to check there's no shine, because if it's shiny, it means it's still too wet. This looks perfect. Let's go over to the press, and can someone grab my registration guide, please? Put your plate in. Paper on top, just like before. There's my print. Let's go back over there. Okay, so now people always ask, well, for the second print, do I have to clean it and then start over? No, you don't. This is the great thing. You just take your ink and put it right back on. Isn't that cool? So you don't have to like clean everything. So my suggestion is to do your edition all in once. Just come in one day, print them all at the same time, so you only have to clean up once, right? Also, you get into like a feeling. And if you try to come back the next day and print to make it look exactly like the day before, sometimes it comes out different and you're pressing harder maybe, or you're doing it longer, like you're just kind of out of the zone. So it's actually, you can definitely print all three in one class. How long did it take you to print yesterday?
I think like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So you can easily print 3 in that like an hour and a half. Right?
Yeah.
So then you can get your whole edition done in one class. Okay. New. Okay, let's write another one. I'm just kind of rushing so that you guys don't get too bored. So I didn't do a good job, right? You ready? Okay, when you clean it, you don't want to scratch it too hard with the rag because it can leave like marks, and when you print it, it'll look kind of like dirty, like there'll be like a haze. Okay, so instead, this is how I recommend you clean. Gently with your hands and water. And then wipe it, like pat it dry with a rag. Okay, that way it doesn't get scratched. Okay, so we finished our addition. Yay, now we get to have fun. All right, now, technically what you should do for this is you should use different gloves for the blue and the yellow, right? Because what if I start using this for the yellow, what's gonna happen? It's gonna become like brown, right? But for blue, it's fine. So we'll just use it for the blue only, and then we'll switch gloves. So you want to use a blue tarlatan to find a blue one. Okay, and now we'll do the yellow. So I'm gonna get some new gloves for yellow. If I'm printing a lot of colors, I'll have like a set of gloves for each color. And every time I use that color, I switch gloves. Yellow. Thank you. I didn't actually leave that much in the picture. I did everything. Let's let it blend a little so we get green. How about that? Is there a yellow one? I'm just gonna use green instead, but I will get a yellow one because I have a whole roll up there, see, of this stuff. So I'll cut a new piece for yellow. But it's gonna be kind of getting green anyway. Okay. All right, so we can print it just like that even, and so you can have different colors. I'm actually gonna do one more thing, which is I'm gonna take another plexiglass piece. So the ones that you use already for the stencil monotype, you can grab one of those. We're gonna do something fun. Can someone grab me a paintbrush, please, from over there? I have to take off my gloves, aren't I? Yep. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. Okay, great. So you take an extra one that's blank, and you can paint a background or even use stencils, okay? Something more interesting than that probably, but it's fine for now, just for the example. Okay, now let's choose our paper that we want. You ready? All right, we'll do our background color first. Actually, having the long sides can be very helpful. You'll see why in a minute. Send it through. Put the blankets under the bars this time. All right, can everyone come around and see what I've done so far? the paper is stuck in the press. See that? It's stuck in the press. So now I'm going to switch out my plates. Can I have the other plate, please? It's right there. Thank you. This is how you can do a double layer. Then you put it in the marks as before. Put your paper back down. Let's see how it comes out. So this is an experiment, right? We don't know. Let's see how it goes. There you go. So you have a double layer.